In this video segment, we're going to be doing a project called, What's in Your Name? And it's all about typography. And so we're going to use Photoshop as our tool here. First off, let's go to Reset and do typography in Photoshop. Photoshop is a great program to do a lot of different things. If we go to Window and Workspace, we've got 3D, motion, painting, photography, typography. So Photoshop's not just for photography, that's for sure. Let's go down and do our workspace's typography. That way it gives us our character toggle right up here that has a lot of information about type. All right. The next thing we want to do is let's go to File and New, and let's make a new just canvas. So we'll go here and make sure this says inches, not pixels, and let's make a 10-inch by 8-inch piece of paper, and this should put our resolution at 300. Most of the time when you're doing some printing, you want to have at least 300 resolution as a good default for your printing. So we'll go with 300. 72 would be better for your computer monitor size, but let's do that. RGB color, let's leave it in RGB. Of course, we've got red, green, and blue. We've got CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black for offset printing. But since we're using an RGB monitor, let's just keep it in RGB color. We'll hit OK. Okay, we've got a nice piece of paper here. Now, if you don't see this ruler here, if you hit Command R, it'll put it away, or Command R will bring it back. And that's kind of nice when you're dividing up a piece of paper. Like if you want to divide it in half, you can just click right on the ruler here and drag out what's called a blue line. Now, right now, I've got my ruler set up for picas and points. Most graphic designers like that because they can use the picas and points as a measuring system more than inches and or centimeters and millimeters, all that type of things. If you want to change that though to inches, you just go to Photoshop, Preferences, and bring it down here to Units and Rulers, and we can change that instead of picas to inches. And maybe I'll do that. We'll leave our type as point sizes because that's how we measure type. We'll do a ruler of inches because most Americans know inches. And if you drag around the corner here and put it right on this edge, right there, it's going to center out or zero out your piece of paper. So you can see it's 8 by 10. And so now if I go to my Move tool and I take this middle blue line, I can put it right on 5, and we know it's exactly in half. So let's say you're going to be making a flyer to hand out, and you want to do 2 up. You could design it 2 up on a sheet and then print it off, and you get double the flyers. If you want to quarter that up, you just bring that down to 4. Now if you want to get rid of these blue lines, now these blue lines will not print, they're just guidelines. If you want to get rid of them, you can just click and drag and just take them right off the top, right back on the ruler, and same with this over here, and it takes them back off. So if you need to divide or decide how big things are, this ruler is great for that. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go to my typeface. Now look down here. Down here, this is like white over white. If you want to reset the color, you just go ahead and click on this little arrow, or next to the arrow right here. This is the default to black and white. And you can swap the foreground for the background with this little toggle that switches back and forth. We want black on top, so I'll leave it there. And I'm going to go to the Type tool. Now when we go to Type tool, you're going to notice up here at the top you've got all your type fonts, your type families, and your size of point, size, and type, and then sharp, crisp, strong. Usually sharp seems to work the best in this case. And then you've got your justifications here, your center justified, left justified, and right justified. Here's the color of the font, which is going to match usually this one down here, but there's a color. And here's the type warping. We're going to look at that for a moment too. And there's this toggle. So if I click on that, it goes away. That was this side toggle. This is your type toggle character palette. And so we'd like to leave that over here so we can really do work our type. Now I'm going to select 72 point just as a default. If you want any other size, it's very easy. You can just type it in. Let's say I want 200 point. You can just type it in, hit enter. Or you can click next to it and just drag, and you can make it any size you want by dragging back and forth. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and set it at 72 just to start here. And then I'm going to click once, and I'm going to make just my first name. Now, actually, I'm not going to do my first name. I'm just going to do my initials. First off, I'll take the L. Now, right now, this is in Times Bold Italic. There it says bold Italic. So if I go to my Move tool, I can move this around. If I hit Command T, it works just like a photograph. I can squish and squash this letter. If I hold down Shift, it's going to constrain it. And if you notice up here at the top, we got a lot of changing going on up here. It's saying all the different widths and heights of this box. If we hit the check mark, that finishes off my selection. Okay. Now, if you want to check what size this is, you just go to your Type tool, select right on it, and click and drag. And then right over here, it shows 268 points. So if you want to ever check to see the size of your type, you can do that. So Move tool. Okay. And then I'll click somewhere else. I'm going to hit my Type tool. Click. I'm going to hit my letter O, capital letter O, Command T, hold down Shift. Now, sometimes we do want to squish and squash type. Just depends on what we want to do with it. But let's say I'm going to make a logo out of my name. And then Type tool, U, capital U, Command T. So you can have some fun kind of making a logo or something out of your name. I'm just going to use my first name here. And if I want to get to the O or the L, I can come over here and, of course, grab them there. But if you hold down Command and click right on it, see how it just selects right over the things you're on, saying this is what you're here, here, here. I can just click that. It goes right to that layer. I want the O. Now it went to the O. U. I've only got a few layers here. It's no big deal to go select them here. But, you know, it's kind of nice to get to them faster. Just command, click on the O, move the O around. All right. And then I can also use my arrows on my keyboard to move things in 1 point increment, which is really nice if I want to kind of just really tuck things around and get them where I want. All right. Now that I've got these selected here, to change the color, it's very simple. Let's go to the Type tool, and I can click the O, and then I can go in here and I can change the color to any color I want. Let's say I want to do dark red there. Check mark. And then if I want to make the L a different color, I can just select right on the L. It finds it for me when I'm on the Type tool. I can select over that, and I can do this in blue or whatever color I'm feeling. And then the U here, I'm going to make that in yellow. Nice bright yellow. Okay. So it's very easy, of course, to do those. And if I want to move this around and get it tucked around and things. Now, on top of each other, that's just the layers. So if I want to put that down below, I just drag this layer down, and now that's back behind. You know, you can move it around. Now, if you want to do some fancy things to the letters, what you want to do is you need to rasterize these. Now, right now, they are vector. Vector are line drawing, and they're very sharp. If you bring things up, see they're a lot sharper than normal. So they're still pixelated because we're looking at a pixelated screen, and we're also looking at a Photoshop, which is a pixel program, but they're still really tight, and they're going to stay really tight no matter if I bring it bigger or smaller. It's going to constrain those pixels and refigure the math and make things sharp because they're still in vector. And so these are vector line letters. But as soon as I right-click and rasterize, now it's a picture. So now the O is a picture. So if I hit Command T and make it bigger, it's going to pixelate. Okay, and Command T. So when I bring it up and down, we're going to lose pixels when we go smaller. We're going to gain more pixels and not as quality if we make it bigger. So kind of be careful with that. But we need to use that if you want to do something special. Like if I go to the Command T now, this is now a picture instead of a vector. So I can warp it and do whatever I want. I can have some fun with my letter. I can warp this thing, do some really cool things with my O. So I can just get as creative as I want. I can kind of tuck this up and do some fun things with my name. Bring it back in here and you just have some fun with it. So get creative. Okay. And then with the U, again, I just right-click, rasterize. Now, on a Mac, when you right-click, I've set my mouse up to right-click, but if you don't want to set your mouse up to right-click, you can always hit down Control and click. That's right-click. So left-click, Control on things, that'll right-click as well. Give you more options. So I just rasterize my U, and I can hit Command T, and I can go in, and I can do some warping on it and have some fun with it. The same with my L. Okay. Now, to make things a little more, even more exciting, I can come down here to the effects of the layer. Click on Effects. I'm going to do a stroke. Now, stroke is the word for the line that goes around things. Type, pictures, anything you've got selected. It's called a stroke. And I'm going to use that, keep that black, but I can change the color of it by, or not color, but the size right here. If I click right on stroke, I can play with the size. So I can stroke the letter, and I can do it on the outside, the inside, or the center. Okay. Opacity, I can change it down so everything goes opaque. And the yellow's not even, it looks like it is, but my stroke is going lighter. It's kind of nice. Okay. And there's lots of blend modes. There's dissolve, and there's all types of, fun stroke information. Okay. And a color, if I want to do this in red, I can easily change it. And if I want to do this in blue, if I want to find the exact blue, I don't have to sit there and play with this. I can go and just click on this, and it brings the eyedropper up, which selects copies the color. Okay. And then the O, and click on it. I can hit effects. And you can also, even if I haven't rasterized this letter L, I can still use effects. So I can go to the L. I can do a drop shadow on it. So you can still do all of these fun things, even if they're not rasterized. Make it look like it's kind of coming off the edge there, And I can do a stroke, which stroke's always fun, because it kind of gives some different perspective, and I'm going to do yellow around it. And then the O, effects. Now on this one here, I'll do a bevel emboss. Click right on it, and I can really emboss that O and do something fun. So there's some fun things you can do with your letters and things. Okay. Now one last thing on here is if I'm going to type my name, okay, I'll just type the whole thing out here. Now that it's all together, if I want to change the spacing, now let's talk about spacing for just a moment here. I'm going to hit Command T, make this bigger just so you can see it better. Okay. Now spacing is very interesting. I'm going to turn these other ones off just so they don't distract us. Okay. So go back here. Now, spacing between letters. Now I'm going to put my name, first name, and my last name. Okay, I'm going to make this lower, upper, lowercase. Whoops. Okay, now look at the spacing. Now this spacing here is called leading. From this to there is called leading. So if I drag this down here and said, okay, from here to here, that space is called leading. All right. So if you want to change the leading on that, just right here, select both the type, okay, and then we're going to click right here, and you can change it this way, or if you click right on this, you can bring it up and down. You can kind of get your spacing nice, so the leading, okay. Now the tracking's in between each letter. So if I want to take out some spacing here, because look at all that extra space, I click in between this, and here is the kerning. Kerning is right here. So if I can come in and just, oops, sorry, this one, right there. There's kerning. So I can bring it, see, I can bring it closer and farther away. So you can type that in and say, I want minus, 75, or you can actually click right on the VA there, there's the kerning, and bring it in. Okay. If I want to do the whole thing, it's called tracking. I can do it all at once. All right. So there's spacing, letters, and then if I want to do a stroke around the whole thing, because it's all one, I can just hit effects, I can hit stroke, and it strokes everything. So if I'm making a design and logo, I can do my whole name all at one time because it's all together here. And if I right click, rasterize it, then of course I can go to my warping here. Oh, I gotta hit check mark. Okay, Command T, warp, and now I can warp things. Okay. Now I'm going to go back in time real quick before I rasterize it. Or if you want to use the warp, you just select it, and if you click here before it's rasterized, you can bow it, arc it, arch it. So lots of neat things you can do. Have fun with type.